Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Jai Go Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Is anybody going to offer the garland, or the tradition is finished? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jaya Mudirayem Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtuki. Reading from Canto 4, Chapter 6, Text 28. Brahma satisfies Lord Shiva. Please repeat after me. Hitvam Yaksheshvara Purim. Hitva Yaksheshvara Purim. Hitva Yaksheshvara Purim. Vanam Saugandikam Cha Tat. Vanam Saugandikam Cha Tat. Vanam Saugandikam Cha Tat. Drumaihi Kamam Dughair Hrudayam. Durmai Kama Dughair Hrudayam. Durmai Kama Dughair Hrudayam. Chitra Malya Phala Chadihi. Chitramalya Phala Chadahi. Chitramalya Phala Chadahi. Hitva Yaksheshvara Purim. Vanam Saudandikam Chatar. Durmai Kama Dughair Hrudayam. Chitramalya Phala Chadaihi. Hitva Yaksheshvara Purim. Vanam Saudandikam Chatat. Durmai Kama Dughair Hrudayam. Chitramalya Phala Chadaihi. Hitva Yaksheshvara Purim. Vanam Saudandikam Chatat. Durmai Kama Hriday Duyam. Chitramalya Phala Chadaihi. Hitva Yaksheshvara Purim. Vanam Saudandikam Chatat. Durmai Kama Dughair Hrudayam. Chitramalya Phala Chadaihi. Hitva Yaksheshvara Purim. Vanam Saudandikam Chatat. Durmai Kamadugai Hridayam Chidramalya Falachadaihi Hitva Yaksheshwara Purim Vanam Saudandikam Chadat Durmai Kamadugai Hridayam Chidramalya Falachadaihi Hitva, passing over, Yaksha Ishvara, the Lord of the Yakshas, Kuvera, Purim, the abode, Vanam, the forest, Saugandikam, named Saugandika, Cha, and that, and Tat, that, Turumaihi, with tree, Kama Dughai, yielding desires, Hrudayam, attractive, Chitra, variegated, Malya, flowers, Phala, fruits, Chadihi, leaves. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. While traveling, the demigods passed over the forest known as Saugandika, which is full of varieties of flowers, fruits, and desire trees. While passing over the forest, they also saw the regions of Yaksheshwara. Purport: Yaksheshwara is also known as Kuvera, and he is the treasurer of the demigods. In the descriptions of him in Vedic literature, it is stated that he is fabulously rich. It appears from these verses that Kailasha is situated near the residential quarters of Kuvera. It is also stated here that the forest was full of desire trees. In Brahma Samhita, we learn about the desire trees, which is found in the spiritual world, especially in Krishna Loka, the abode of Lord Krishna. We learn here that such desire trees are also found in Kailasha, the residence of Lord Shiva. By the grace of Krishna, it thus appears that Kailasha has a special significance. It is almost like the residence of Lord Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Shakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uda Pada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sakrajadam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tamsa Jivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Parshapte Deshatarine Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. Offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Kam karoti vatsalam pango langayate giri. Yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru Shri Dina Tarinam. Tavivasmi najivami tvayavina iti vidyante vikam amam charanantikam. Hare Krishna everyone, good morning. Welcome to this morning's class. Is that Sagar who gave me the garland? Is that your name? The tradition is once you give the garland, you pay obeisances to the speaker. I'll just wander off. Anyway, you don't need to for me, but at least for the Vyasasana you have to respect. Okay, here we are seeing the description of Kailasha, or approach to Kailasha, where Lord Brahma is taking all the demigods to visit Lord Shiva. We all know the backstory, how Shiva was humiliated by his father-in-law Daksha, and Shati committed, burnt herself and left the body, and Shiva and his followers destroyed all the friends and acquaintance of Daksha, and the demigods were all severely injured. Now they went and approached Lord Brahma, and Brahma is taking them to Lord Shiva to seek Shiva's forgiveness. So, and then these verses describe progressively how Kailasha looks like. So when we see the diagram here, what is the difference between the description and the diagram here? Anybody? Can you see this? Yes, no, maybe? And what is the description here? No, nothing? So, yeah, here in the diagram it is portrayed. I don't know who draws these. They're absolutely they're terrible. And I don't know why they draw diagrams in the verse in the boat. It's a misrepresentation. When you look at it, it looks like some hills and there's nothing else, and then there's somebody appearing like Shiva and Parvati sitting there. But when you see through the scriptures, it's a completely different description. It's full of desire-fulfilling trees. In previous verse, we can see there's beautiful deers and various fruit trees, tropical fruit trees like mango trees and jackfruit. They grow in tropics. There's various fragrant flowers. Even in this verse, Saugandhika is used. Saugandhika means very beautiful fragrance. In previous verses, the meaning of Saugandhika is explained. That the Kailash hill is surrounded by various ponds, and these lakes have lotus flowers. And these lotus flowers, the saffron from the lotus flowers make the lake yellow in color, and they produce this fragrance covering the whole Kailash. And so that's why the place is named as Saugandhika, because there's nice fragrance coming out of all these flowers, especially lotus flowers. So this is Shastra Shakshu, seeing through the scriptures, how a particular personality, how a particular place is described. But if you not see through the scriptures, if you see through speculation or through Bollywood, you end up like this. Some deserted place with Lord Shiva and Parvati sitting. So devotees always see through scriptures, not through their speculation, not what they heard from others or what they see. It's always through scriptures, because scriptures are authoritative. The people have actually seen, and they are describing. Lord Brahma and the demigods have actually seen these places. They've been there, they've seen the places with their own eyes, and they are describing it with very minute details. How Kailash is the word here used chitra. Chitra means variegated, various opulences are present in Kailash. So the general approach of the modern scientist is, apart from the Earth, every other planetary systems, there is nothing. It's pretty much covered with dust and stones and rocks. They go to Mars, or they claim to go to Mars, or they claim to go to Moon, and all they can find is the place is deserted. There's nobody there. There's no living entities, and it's covered by just dust and stones. But in Shastra, it gives a different outlook. First, let's see Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 24. Achedyoyam adayoyam akaledyo shoshya evacha nitya. Anybody? Sarvagata stanu achaleyam sanatanam. So the key word here is sarvagataha. So Krishna is describing the spirit soul in these series of verses. And in this particular verse, he calls the living entities, or living entity, present everywhere. Sarvagataha. Sarva means every, all or every. Gataha means place. He's present everywhere. So the living entity is present everywhere. He is present in earth. We see earth. He's present in earth, like we living entities. We are here. The living entities are present in water. You go to the ocean, or river, or lake, or pond, you see living entities. In the air, they are present in the air. You have birds flying, or the viruses and the bacteria, they are present in the air. Fire, they are present in the fire, but we may not perceive it, but they are present in the fire. We use, the fire is used as sometimes used as a disinfectant. It kills living entities. But according to Bhagavad Gita, the fire, the living entities are also present in fire. So one of the achedyoyam, akaledyoyam. So the living entity is not burnt by fire. It's not destroyed by fire. So even in fire, the living entity is there. So when the scientists describe the planet Sun is made of fire, it's molten fire. But according to, just because it's molten fire, high temperature, their conclusion is there is no living entities. There is no living entities. But the scripture says it's full of living entities. And similarly in ether, there are living entities. So this material world is created as a reflection of the spiritual world. It's created as a reflection of the spiritual world. And the purpose why the material world is created is for the living entities to be populated. For the living entities to be populated. So Krishna is efficient. He is not, he's not doing a half-hack job like us. He knows what he's doing. So if he's creating this material world, if the material world is created for the living entities to enjoy whatever the desire is, so he has created places not necessarily empty. You know what I'm saying? He's efficient. If he's doing something, he's making a space, it means he's catering for a need of particular living entities. It's not like he created something and it's useless. So for example, we build a house. If you have a lot of money, we build a big house and it's just one person living there and the other rooms are empty. It's not like that. When Krishna is creating something, everything is efficient. Every little bit is being utilized or created for a purpose. So when Krishna creates this cosmic universes, multiverses. It's all filled with living entities from top to bottom. If you claim that a particular planet is empty, it means Krishna hasn't done his job properly. Why it is empty? Does that make sense? So in that sense, by using that logic, you understand that the entire universe is full of varieties, full of various living entities, and various opulences too. Somewhere it is more opulent, somewhere it's less opulent, but there is opulences too. The higher we go, the more opulence is perceived, is available. If you go to the tropics of India, there's nice trees, there's fruits and trees in the Himalayas. Then you go to a place which is desert. There may be less opulence, but there's still living entities. What is the biggest desert? The biggest desert is Antarctica, and there are living entities there. There are seals, and you go to the springtime or summer, there's flowers, covered by flowers. So and whales, and there's a lot of living entities. And most hostile places you go to, Sahara Desert, or what is that? They call this the Dead Desert in south of California. But even when you go there, it may be dead for us. We might not survive, but you can go and see that there are other living entities who are surviving. There is lizards and snakes, and you have cactuses, living entities. There are living entities present there. So the concept of the universe being empty, we can't accept if we see through the scriptures, through the eyes of scriptures. There are 3 verses in Brahma Samhita which kind of correlates with this particular descriptions. The first one is the first prayer we say, Chintamani Prakrasadmasu Kalpaviksha Lakshavriteshu Surabir Abhipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Samritam Brahma Sevyamanam Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. So the material world is created as a reflection of the spiritual world, of Goloka. Reflection means whatever in the spiritual or in the in the original form has to be reflected in the image. So if the image doesn't have variety, the original form doesn't have variety neither, or other way around. The original form has a lot of varieties, and because of the lot of varieties, the image, which is this material world, also has varieties. Generally, the Mayavadis or the impersonalists, their understanding is the liberation means merging into impersonal Brahman. There is nothing there, it's just a white light, and you disappear. That's their understanding of liberation, or ultimate. Now, when they say what is the ultimate destination, their ultimate destination is this nothingness, or just a bright white light. But that's not what the scriptures corroborate. Well, there is this impersonal Brahman, the effulgent light. But again, this effulgent light is also full of living entities. And in the purports of Brahma Samhita, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur claims that those who are full of kama, krodha, and bhaya, people who are angry, who has fear, and the last one, it's not desire, I can't remember the last one. So these three, so people who have these three qualities, they end up in the impersonal Brahman. So that's what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says. So it's not a saintly person, who has good qualities who end up in impersonal Brahman, but according to him, people who are full of anger, people who are full of fear, people full of frustration, enmity, that's the word, who was inimical. These are the people who end up in this impersonal Brahman. And again, this impersonal Brahman, as we know the quality of the soul doesn't get destroyed. Even if the soul, because of his envy, anger, enmity, anger, and fear, ends up in impersonal Brahman, he still maintains his individuality. So this impersonal Brahman is also full of living entities. And it's not empty, or it's not like one who enters there just disappears or gets annihilated. So that's impersonal Brahman. But the spiritual world, the highest destination of a living entity, Goloka, is explained as Chintamani, Prakara Siddhmasu Kalpavriksha. The building blocks of Goloka is made of Chintamani stones. So the building blocks of the material world is made of 5 elements: earth, water, fire, ether, and air. These are made of the material world. The building blocks are made of this. The gross body we have, the buildings we have, the bricks, everything. It's made of these five elements. It's made of these 5 elements. But the spiritual world, the building blocks, everything is made of Chintamani stone. It's made of Chintamani stone. And this Chintamani stone is not, again, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says in his purport, it's not like any, the prefaces stone? Which is used in, as an example, in the material world as a wish-fulfilling stone. It's not just like that. A Chintamani stone of this material world can only produce gold. You touch something, we touch with iron, the iron becomes gold. But in the spiritual world, the Chintamani stone, the Chintamani stone, on its association, gives not just gold, but the highest happiness one can ask for, which is love for Krishna. That is the Chintamani stone of the Goloka Vrindavan, the building blocks. And similarly, the trees, the wish-fulfilling trees of this material world, they can only give you the Purusharthas, which is Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. They can only give these 4 Purusharthas. But in spiritual world, the trees, Kalpavriksha trees, again, they can give you the fruit of pure love for Krishna. Pure love for Krishna. That is the fruit you can get. I mean, of course, they can give other fruits, but the primary fruit which it delivers is the love for Krishna. That is the Kalpavriksha trees. And similarly, there is Surabhi cows, Surabhi Abhipalayantam. Surabhi cows. And these cows, here, of course, the material world cows, they also provide nectar, milk. But the cows in Goloka, the milk produced is like an ocean. They produce ocean of milk. The cows here, I don't know how much a Jersey cow produces. I think the Jersey is the cow which produces. You can't sit like that in front of deities. The Surabhi, the cows here, the highest producing cows, 6 liters, 10 liters? Anybody? Any idea? Any farmers here? No? X number of liters here. But in spiritual world, the cows, Surabhi cows, produces ocean of milk, ocean of milk, and the amount of milk produced by the cows create the whole Svetadweep, the milk ocean uh, in spiritual world. So, and this milk produced by these cows are not ordinary milk neither. We get our milk, it's quite nice. I love milk, I drink milk, yeah, great. But the milk in Svetadweep or in Goloka, the milk again gives Krishna Prem. And it's filled with Krishna Prem, love for Krishna. So these are the descriptions of Goloka according to Brahma. And in a different verse, Brahma says, Goloka Nijadamni, what is it? Goloka Namni Nijadamni Talesha Tasya Devi Mahesha Haridama Suteshu Teshu Te Prabhava Nichaya Vihitaschayena Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Here the significant word is Prabhava. We will come to that. So Brahma, from his vision, he is looking over. The Brahma Samhita is a description of Brahma's vision. And after he gets the Gayatri Mantra, he gets this vision of the spiritual world. Not just the spiritual world, the entire cosmic universe. And then from there he can see, from his viewpoint of view, he is seeing. First what he sees is Devidam, the material world, which is we are in. And starting from Satyaloka, his own residence, all the way to the Patala Loka. He sees that. And above that, he sees Maheshdam, the residence of Lord Shiva. And I'll just speak on that, and then we'll go to the next one. So this Maheshdam is made of two spears. One spear is called a Mahakal Dham, which is filled with darkness. It's completely dark. And then within that spear there is Sadashiv Dham, where Shiva, the original Shiva, Sadashiv, resides. And he is full of effulgence. And this dark planet surrounding, the dark sphere surrounding, the Sadashiv Dham is illuminated by him, by Sadashiv. So it becomes bright. And this Dham, Sadashiv Dham, which is described in Brahma Samhita, is made up of the three building blocks of the material universe. It has this time, it has the space, and it has matter. These are the three things it's made up of, or it's a storehouse of the building blocks of the Devi Dham. So that is made up of Mahesh Dham. And this Mahesh Dham is explained in Brahma Samhita as a shadow of the spiritual world. It's not just if you look at a shadow, there is, if you put an object against light, you can see a shadow, and around that shadow you can also see slightly another shadow. The technical world is something I can't remember, parambol or something, shadow of a shadow. Have you seen? I mean, of course, you guys have seen. You study science and refraction, where they teach this in physics. So there's object, there is a shadow, and there is a shadow of the shadow. So that shadow of the spiritual world is Mahesh Dham, where Lord Shiva resides with all the building blocks required for the Devi Dham to operate. So that is the Mahesh Dham. And of course, above that Mahesh Dham is Haridham, various Vaikuntha planets. And above that Vaikuntha planet is Goloka. And this Goloka is the planet of Krishna himself. It's Nijadamni, its own planet. It's his own place. It's his own. He feels home there. His own place. Nijadamni is used, and the word prabhava is used in that particular verse. Prabhava means variegatedness. Variegatedness. It means it's not just made of just one element. It's not just dust. It's not like there's no other qualities. It's variegated. All these places are variegated. It means there's different forms and different features with different qualities, different fragrance, different temperature. It's full of variegatedness. And it's not as going against the principle of what the Mayavadis claim, that it's all one. It's all one. So prabhava, made of variegatedness. So it's mentioned by Brahma himself. And then the last, it's not the last verse, but in the set of prayers we usually chant in Brahma Samhita is Shriya Kanta Kanta Bharma Purusha Kalpataru Druma Bhumi Chintamani Thoyamamritam Tata Ghanam Natyam Gamanam Api Vamsi Priyasaki Chidanandam Jyoti Paramapi Tadatmanam Apicha Bhaje Sveta Dvipam Tamahamiha Golokamitiyam Itantaste Shanta Virala Chara Katipaya. So overall summarizes the Goloka, the spiritual planet. Again, similar description. You have wish fulfilling trees, Surabhi cows, Chintamani, and the Paramapurusha is Krishna, and he is the Kanta. Kanta means he's been served by his beloved associates. Shriyaha means Lakshmis, various Lakshmis are serving him. And the place is made of Chintamani stones. And then these Chintamani stones, again, as I mentioned, Chidanandam, Jyoti Paramapi. It's full of transcendental bliss, this place. And Tata Ghanam Natyam. There's every activity, every speech is a song. Every step a person takes is a dance. So it's full of it's rasa, full of rasa, embodiment of all happiness. Rasa is fully immersed in that rasa. So that is Goloka. And again, it describes Sveta Dvipam Tamaham. Sveta Dvipa is milk ocean formed by the Surabhi cows. So this is a description what Brahma gives of various planetary systems, and it is not, as the picture describes here, or how the Mayavadis perceive. No, it's full of life, full of variety, for the enjoyment of the living entities accordingly. And of course, the spiritual world, the enjoyment is different. The enjoyment in the spiritual world is to make sure Krishna is happy. That is the word Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says is the spiritual world, every element, every object is centralized. He uses the word centralized. It means every object is there for the pleasure of only one person. It's centralized. Here in the material world, it's not centralized. You have your own house. Another person has their own house, and all these houses are divided for their own individual happiness of whoever occupies it. They are divided. Every element is divided here for the individual happiness of the living entities. But in the spiritual world, even though all these elements are present in all beauty, but they are all centralized for only one purpose. That is to satisfy Krishna. Satisfy Krishna. So, various descriptions of different planetary systems, and Lord Shiva also enjoys similar opulence. So here Prabhupada says that Kailash has special significance, that it also has some of the opulence what the residents of Krishna enjoys, because Lord Shiva is also expansion of Lord Krishna. Even other scriptures, not other scriptures, even in Bhagavatam and other places, like what is it, King Ila, not Ila, Ila, his father, Ila's father, King Ila, Sudyumna, his other name, enters the forest by accident. He's hunting, he enters the forest. It's a forest. It's not some deserted place where Lord Shiva lives. It's a forest, and then the forest has a curse or a benediction, however you want to call, that anybody who enters by mistake with a male body becomes female, so that Parvati, or the consort of Ambika, Shiva, doesn't need to feel shy. So anybody who enters this forest, so again it's a description of a forest, it's not some barren place, it's a forest. We can also see, where else it is described? Yeah, here it is described in Bhagavatam. There's also one other place it is described. Anyways. In scriptures, in other places also, the same concept is backed, that it's full of varieties and desire-fulfilling trees. I think it's Chitraketu's pastime. Chitraketu looks down when Parvati and Shiva, it's again with opulences. I guess there's not much in this verse to speak. If you have any questions, I can answer. Take this opportunity to have any questions. Otherwise, I might speak something else. Yeah. Any questions? No? Okay. One thing to observe here is Shiva is for the word dhira, sober, the example given is Lord Shiva. Every time if somebody says the dhira word and the example is given as Lord Shiva, you can see quite a melodramatic incident happened in previous verses, where Shiva was humiliated and his wife commits suicide. And his wife is not an ordinary woman. She's one of the most chaste person. She is the definition of chastity, and she's a very beautiful looking person. And she's the goddess of the entire material universe. So she's not an ordinary person. And Shiva is married to her, and she dies. And she dies. But what Shiva, even though he exhibits temporary anger to teach lesson to the demigods and the followers of Daksha, he immediately is pacified and he goes back to his planet and he is engaged in devotional service. It's not like something dramatic happens in his life and he becomes depressed and becomes an alcoholic and doesn't get out of bed. That's what general people do when there's something dramatic happens in their life. They get very affected, and it takes them a long time to recover. If a person passes away in the family or something. But here you can see Lord Shiva is married to the most beautiful women in the three planetary systems. She's very chaste, and in spite of such a a dramatic situation. Shiva is, he teaches the lesson by becoming angry, and then he goes back into practicing spiritual life. In future verses, you can see he's instructing Narada when Brahma approached. So you can, and he's instructing the Sanat Kumaras. So he's immediately situates himself in transcendental activities. So you can see, why Shiva is called Dhira, sober. He doesn't lose his gravity. He's always maintains his composure. The other examples, the opposite examples, like Puranjana. Is it Puranjana? Pururava, not Puranjana. All these P's around that, you get Priyavrata, Pururava, and Puru and Puranjana, so I get confused. So Pururava was married to, who was he married to? Anyone? He was married to Urvashi. She's again very beautiful. But when he loses, when Urvashi decides to go back, when he loses Urvashi, he goes completely mad. He goes completely mad. He gives up his kingdom. He's just wandering around various forests. He loses. He is an emperor. He is the first king of the Moon dynasty. There's two dynasties who rule this planet. There's Sun dynasty and then the Moon dynasty. And he is the first king of the Moon dynasty. You see how great person he is. In spite of being such an emperor coming from Moon dynasty, he completely loses his composure when Urvashi goes back. And he goes mad. But on the other hand, Lord Shiva, he is not like that. He lost his beautiful wife in recent times, and he's immediately situated in transcendental goodness, bereft of anger, anxiety, and he is engaged in devotional service. So that's one of the reasons Lord Shiva is, when we say Dhira, the Goswamis are also called Dhira, Jana Priya. They are Dhira, and they are also very dear to people who are sober. Similarly, Lord Shiva is also Dhira. He goes back to his place and he's engaged in devotional service. Anyway, I will stop there. There's no questions. You have a question now? Okay. How do we? Well, it's so. What prevents us? Of course, we can't become Dhira like Lord Shiva. The question we need to ask is, what prevents us from becoming Dhira? What prevents us is the three modes of material nature. The three modes of material nature affects us, and according to those three modes, we get disturbed. Dhira means, in simple terms, undisturbed. So what disturbs us? The three modes of material nature. So how do we become Dhira? We try to overcome three modes of material nature. How do we overcome three modes of material nature? Combination, spiritual practice, and control of the senses. Getting up early in the morning, engaging in devotional service, leading a sattvic life. So slowly curtailing the more of passion and ignorance, and establishing oneself in more of goodness. So that's the extent. That's how the living entities can overcome the modes of nature by practice and devotional service, hand in hand. So you can't just I'm going to practice devotional service, chant 16 rounds, or but I'll chant at 12 o'clock at night. Then, yeah, it will, but it'll be a gradual process. So you follow the what is it? Yama and Niyama for living entities, which is getting up in the morning, taking a bath, coming to the temple, if you're not close to the temple, at home, perform devotional service, eat sattvic food, don't eat outside, eat only food cooked at home, and make sure the food cooked at home is prasadam, so there is no onion, garlic, and so food is cooked in a mode of goodness, and you consume that. By doing these processes, devotion service, hand in hand with yama and niyama, one can come to mode of goodness. And once, when you're in mode of goodness, you're firmly situated in mode of goodness, and then the passion and ignorance, attack of passion and ignorance, you would have the skills to deal with it. You won't indulge. And then by doing that, you become a dhira. That is the process. Okay. It's a long story. It's a long story. Urvashi disappears. He goes back to the spiritual world, to the place of Indra, the heavenly planets, and then Purura becomes mad. He just wanders around various forests, ignoring his kingdom, and then eventually he bumps into her in Kurukshetra. He sees her in Kurukshetra, and then again he pleads her. It's quite an embarrassing thing because she really humiliates him before she leaves. But because he is so attached to her, he goes and literally begs her to come back. And then she agrees that she will come. She agrees that she says, "Okay, go and worship Gandharvas," because Gandharvas were instrumental in taking her back. So then Purava goes to the forest and he worships Gandharvas. And pleased by Gandharvas, they give him a mock Urvashi, Agnistali, and so he's temporarily happy that he got Urvashi back. He thinks he got Urvashi back, and then he quickly finds out that this is not actually his wife Urvashi, this is a replica. So he gets frustrated again and he decides to perform yagya. He goes to the same place where the Gandharvas gave Agnistali to him, and he sees a plant, a tree, a shala tree, Ashwatha tree is growing in a shala tree. And then he takes the wood from it and he performs ritualistic yagyas, and from that point the ritualistic fruitive activities commence, and then he performs yagyas, and then Urvashi is forced to be with him, but she agrees to spend only one night a year with him. I might be a bit here off the story, I can't remember. The sequence may be a bit off, but that's how it goes. And then she spends one night a year with him, and then they have children. And eventually he realizes that he has wasted his time. And then the Aila Gita comes in 11th canto, where he describes how he has wasted all his time chasing after a woman who was like a fox and things like that. Yeah. So 9th canto and 11th canto. 9th canto is his fall down, and 11th canto is his resurrection and how he becomes, realizes, teaches the Aila Gita, and then he goes back to Godhead. If I remember it right. Yeah. If there is no questions, I will finish here. Granth Rachmat Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Ki jai.